Be strong. What does it mean to be strong? When the heart aches and there is no hope in sight. When holding back tears no longer helps. When the road is rough and it weighs you down. How do we stay strong? Stay strong in community because there is a better life in leading others. Though our lives may not be perfect and we can't promise you there will be days without the dark clouds, but we can promise to be there when it rains and when it hurts. We will be there with you when all seems bleak. We will guide you to wholeness. We are living your dreams.
I left something for you. That's how you always behave. I left something for you. In fact, I go with the boys. I left something for you. This is my birthday, for crying out loud. Say, now today they see birthday. Now only you start to do birthday. Content and process. Let's go on. These things you know. How did you communicate it? Please don't assume, I beg you, don't assume that the expectation you communicated, don't take it for granted that I understood what you said. You need to go the extra mile to ensure that I understood what you said. Listen, there is nothing wrong with marriage. It is the living together that is the problem. Because the day two of you wore nice clothes, the man wore Prince Charles clothes, the woman wore Princess Diana clothes, and they sang a beautiful song for you. You were heading for forever, how do you say, and they lived happily ever after. That's why you even wore the Cinderella clothes that you wore as your wedding dress. And they lived happily ever. Nobody comes into marriage to make the other person's life miserable. If you married your wife or married your husband and today the person is miserable, you are in trouble with God. Because that person is God's prince. That person is God's princess. We better be careful the way we treat ourselves. I'm still talking about communication. I said, when you are communicating your expectation, don't remove assumptions. So that takes me to point number 2. Point number 2, I will verify my assumptions to make sure you have accurate information and feedback. Having communicated to you what I really want, what is important to me, I'm going to make sure that you got the right feedback. What is assumption? Assumption is your perception of something, how it came across to you. What I said now, how it came across to you. That's assumption. Expectation is what is important to you. Expectation is what you need and what you want. Most times we confuse these two. You know, I can say something, you understand something else. Hasn't it happened to you before that you and your spouse, you are talking, and my parent will tell me, is that what you understood? I said, that's what you said. I said, no. Is that what you... I said, that's what is... No. What I said and what you understood, we need to clarify those two things. Sometimes this thing is causing problems. And sometimes you find out that in your home, you're speaking German. Your wife is speaking Japanese. And two of you are in the same house. Just imagine this scenario, that two of you just got married, or two of you are at home. Your wife comes out, your husband comes out from the bathroom with a towel around his waist and say, "Chankwan chankwinkwa." And what he meant is, oh, my lovely, beautiful, excellent wife, it's time for us to make out. But what you heard is, I hate you passionately. And then you respond to your wife, "Kempele pinkwan kwan kwan kwa." And what your husband heard is that you're a stupid man with a big head. These two things will cause a big confusion. Two of you would have finished fighting before you get an interpreter. And the interpreter will say, what did you say? He said, but what he said is that I love you so much. So if we don't understand what each other is saying, we will spend our adult years committing civil war in our homes. If we don't, we are adults. We can't be adults with childish communication skills. We must grow in communicating. May we understand that in communication, men communicate differently from women. Why? Because men are different from women. Men and women are wired differently. I'd like you to see what I'm saying. God had wired men and women differently. Our set of chemistry is different. The same way we communicate differently. For instance, when men are communicating, they communicate vertically. In terms of, in their communication and relationship, is vertically. Most men think of power and position. So a man will say, am I above or below? Am I better now or worse then? Am I stronger now or weaker? They're always comparing. Everything is in a vertical sense. Some men. However, some women are also like that, but not most women. But most women think and relate more horizontally. Why men are thinking like this, women are thinking like this. So that is even enough to cause problems. Because when you say something to your wife, bah, you are thinking like this. She's thinking like this. So when you are going up, she's going this way. When you're going down, she's coming up. So in this coming up and going this way, there could be a clash. So we need to understand this so that we can remove assumptions in communication. You know how women think? Am I connected to this person or disconnected? Am I in relationship or not in relationship? Am I intimate or distant? So in your relationship with your wife, that's how she's thinking. Do we have more connection or less connection? Are we more connected or less connected? Are we having distance? This conversation we're having, is it making us to have more connection or more distance? That's how they think most times. But a man will be thinking in this whole thing, am I more powerful or less powerful? Am I weaker and stronger? If you understand this, that's why sometimes you say, my wife is trying to remove the power from me. She's trying to weaken, she's trying to emasculate me of my manliness. We need to understand that because we don't reason alike, men think win-lose, separateness, independent. Women think interdependent and connectedness. Action plan. Guys, when your wife is talking to you, she's not asking you, most times, she's not asking you to solve all the problems. All she just wants you to do is listen. So, the moment, men are always solving problems. So, the moment you start telling Pastor Ben, this is what's happening in living your dreams, he's already giving you 350 answers to the question. Sometimes, just listen. If there's anyone around you, say, listen. I know you have all the answers. Just listen. In the context, she's just trying to make connection. She's just trying to relate. She just wants to know we are connected. Just keep quiet and listen. It's not all the time you provide all the answers. Just listen. I know that you are built to provide answers. Now, women, the way men are built, they want to think through that thing. Sometimes when you're saying something to him, he's not giving you answers immediately. He's thinking. He will come back and talk to you about it. Some of us, you must answer me now. If you don't answer me now, two things, one will happen. Action plan. So let's begin to look at, there is something called redundant communication. If we're going to verify assumption, if we're going to make sure that what the person is giving is what I'm saying, we must be sure. We need to be sure. And if we're going to be sure, we must use redundant communication. It's an engineering terms. Redundancy is engineering terms. And then we must also understand the difference between verbal and non-verbal communications. You'll be seeing all of that. So let's look at redundant communication. Beyond everything I would have loved to say to you, in engineering, there's something called redundancy. When they create some things, they have extra components. Those components is just in case. They are not really strictly needed. They are not really, just in case something happens, these ones will respond. All these ones will come. They also use it in software engineering. Sometimes there is a lot of traffic in the software. that you in the website. So there is always an extra saver just in case the thing goes down. In redundant communication, make sure you have communicated that thing at least 4 times. In fact, you can go all the way and say, please, am I right in understanding that you said, is this what you're trying to say? What I'm saying now. So if you say something to me, I'll go back and say, Oje, do you mean what I'm saying? I want to be sure I got you right. What you said, is this what I'm saying? Until the person agrees that what you have said is what the person has said, you have not understood what the person said. The meaning of a sentence is with the speaker. I can't be saying something, you are the one that interpreting what I'm saying. He said, in fact, some of us are beautiful mind readers. When you say to someone, so I know what you are trying to say. I know what, in fact, let me even tell you. Then you will say nonsense and miss it. And the person will say, that's not what I said. Say, no, that's what you said. That's what I know. God told me. I read your mind. It is witchcraft to read people's mind. Some things that is causing trouble is mind reading. Communicate 4 times. Communicate 4 times. Communicate until the person, you sit down with someone, you talk to the person for 1 hour. The person goes. The person will do something, you now know that, from the beginning, we're not on the same page. How do we solve these problems? Now, listen, friends. If you know that a conversation is going to have an emotional meltdown, that by the time we finish this conversation, 2 things, one will happen. It is good to always use redundant communication. Are you saying, verify, double check that what you heard and what you understood is what the person actually meant and said? That's redundant communication. Some of us don't even allow you to finish a sentence. When you start the sentence, before you finish, they say, let me stop you there. Stop first. I know where you're going. I know what to just stop. How did you know? It's an unhealthy communication. Some of us, you assume that what the person said yesterday is what the person is about to say. You already bring a defense. You shout. You start shouting. You say, no, I won't take this. I won't take it. Defense mechanism. You are running away. And communications cannot be solved. When something happens, you hit the roof, you shout, you throw Hiroshima bomb so that nobody will talk again. So all of us are now intimidated. Not because out of respect, because of your childishness. It is children that throw tantrum. Adults should know how to manage their emotion. You can't have your emotion and give me to manage. I didn't come into the marriage to manage you. It is your job to manage yourself. It is my job to manage myself. If you don't manage yourself and you give me the job of managing you, we're going to have tension. Because I will know the best way to manage you. Touch yourself. Say manage yourself. Say manage yourself. The second way to verify assumption is know the difference between verbal and non-verbal communication. Number 1. Now listen. 7% of communication is what you said and what it means. So if you talk to me for 2 hours, in these 2 hours, everything you said, 7% is actually words and meaning. 55% is non-verbal. The way you did your face, the way you moved your body, the way... There are some people, they haven't said anything, but they have said so much. Do you know, from your body language, I will know whether you want to talk to me or not. Akhigbe, please, can we talk? What do you want us to talk about? You may not say, you say, oh, angry, can we talk? Yes, no. You haven't said anything, but you have said so much. these things you didn't use your mouth to say is 55%. When we now want to resolve it, you say, true to God, I swear, I didn't say a word. I did God, you know. Father, you know that I didn't make film. That film you didn't make is 7%. Every other thing you use your hand, you use your eyes, you use everything, is 55%. So sometimes what is causing quarrel in the marriage is not what you said. It is the things you are not saying. What you're using your hand, your shoulder, the way you sat, imagine two of us, I say, let us talk, and then you carry your phone. I'm hearing what you're saying now. I'm hearing what you're saying. Can I tell you what you said now? Can I tell what you said last? I'm hearing what you're saying. Hey! I'm still hearing you. Hey, I'll call you back. Me and my wife, we are talking. We are not talking. You have dismissed the person with your body language. This is how to verify assumptions. The last one. 38% is tone of voice. 38% of communication is tone of voice. So which means you can communicate so much without saying a word. 38% of communication is tone of voice. Imagine we're discussing, it's the conversation we're having. And the neighbor is the one coming to tell us, please, reduce your voice, reduce your voice. He said, I'm not shouting. This is the way I talk. When I talk, I have a loud voice. I understand you have a loud voice, but the voice is showing anger. Listen, sir. If you are happy, your tone of voice will show. If you are sad, your tone of voice will show. You haven't said a word, but the tone of your voice. Imagine you were telling your wife, I love you. I love you. I love you. Imagine you telling your husband, hey, food is ready. Food is ready. You have actually cooked the food and put on the table. But you like someone who cooked better fried rice. Added orishi and added shit. That's the tone of your voice. See, we can work marriages if all of us decide that when you are communicating, you will verify assumptions. You will use redundant communication. That I will say it again. I will say it again. Some of us will say, I'm a radio. I only speak once. When radio doesn't speak once now. They'll give the news by 9. They'll give it by 10. They'll give it, say I'm radio. You are talking about AM radio that they used to use in 19 Brigade, no date. Then there won't be, the radio starts in the evening. Say I'm radio. Redundant communication. You say it again. You say it again. Say it again. Am I right in understanding that what you said is so? Am I right in understanding that's what you said? That's redundant communication. Verifying assumption simply means that you must verify that this tone of voice, now that you understand everybody, 7%. What we have been going about is 7%. Say, I don't like the way he spoke to me. It's 7%. So do you know you can kneel down to greet someone and you do it disrespectfully? Hey, my husband says kneeling now. I go take and tire him. Good morning. Your non-verbal can be so loud that nobody is hearing what you're saying. My conclusion today, content and process. My conclusion is not just what you're saying, it's how you're processing what you're saying. I love a scripture. It says, Proverbs 14:13, even in laughter, the heart may be in pain. Your wife, your husband may be laughing, but is in pain. Your spouse, your colleagues may be laughing, but are in pain. Make sure that the relationship we share doesn't bring us pain. We didn't come together to make each other miserable. We have children out of this marriage. We can't make them miserable because we are miserable. Even if you don't have any reason to live, create a healthy marriage. Create it on behalf of the generation we never see. The heart, the teeth may be laughing, but the heart may be in pain. I close with this story. This story is about my husband. At our pastor's meeting, some of us became a bit discourteous. And when pastor was talking, his voice went a little bit up. And we said to him, sir, your voice is a little bit up. We're afraid. I started saying to myself, how do I communicate this thing to him? Is he going to feel insulted? Is he going to feel that you can't tell me anything? I know what I'm doing. You're a woman. A woman is not supposed to talk to me like that. I said, what's the best way I will communicate this thing to him for him to know that though we were discourteous, the way you spoke to us. So when he came back, he came to meet us. He came to meet the person that he was scolding like that and hugged the person. Although the person said, I said, the Lord rebuked me that I shouldn't have handled it like that. And then he apologized to that assistant pastor. I went back, I said, big man like this, he apologized. When we got home, I said to him, your voice was a little bit high up. You know, he said, you know what he said to me? Say, thank you for correcting me. Thank you for showing me that this happened. We are Christians. We are men of God. You don't need to be a pastor. If you have ever said, Jesus, are you not inside church now? Are you in a shrine? There is a way Christians are supposed to behave. We are Christians. If you're a man of God. If you're a woman of God. It's not ordination of hand. Are you not a child of God? The people in the children's church, what do we call it? Children's church. What do you call here? Adult church. So we should call it adult children of God. And called of the children of God. So if you're an adult child of God, it means you're a man of God. If you're an adult woman of God, it means you're a woman of God. Stop saying it is Pastor K that is a woman of God. What are you? Are you a woman of the devil? If you're saying it is Pastor Ben that is a man of God, what are you? Are you a man of Olumbo? The question is, when are we going to show the world that we believe in what our Father said to us? Moses refused to be called the son of Pharaoh. Everybody stand on your feet. I'm going to read the scripture. Moses refused. Moses refused. As you stand on your feet, I want to read the scripture, Hebrews chapter 11 verse 24. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 24. Moses refused to be called a son of Pharaoh. Moses refused. He said, that's not who I am. You can't call me that name. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused. Bring it in King James. Refused to be called a son of Pharaoh. By faith, Moses, when he has come of age, refused to be called son of Pharaoh's daughter. How many of us are refusing to be called the names that we're not? I refuse to be called a wife beater. I refuse to be called a husband disrespecter. I refuse to take anything, to take an identity that is not a son of God. If you call Moses a son of Pharaoh, he will have prestige, he will have honor, he will have wealth. But Moses refused. Listen, there are two. Either you're a Christian or you are not a Christian. There's nothing like carnal Christian. If you're a Christian, you're spiritual. If you're not a Christian, you're carnal. You can't say I'm a carnal Christian. You have to start refusing to be called sons of Pharaoh, sons of Pharaoh's daughter. Give me that scripture. I want to finish with it. Ladies, you can't have a boyfriend and sleep with him, sir. Those two things don't go. Either you have a boyfriend and you have committed your life to a life of consecration. You can't have a wife and have a girlfriend. They don't go to, or have a boyfriend. They don't go together. You can't have a husband and have a side cock. Or you have, no, they don't go together. Is it that you're a Christian or you're not? Am I talking to someone? If you look at me, I look you back. You can't be a Christian and be touching a girl in the secret place. Secret place is for prayer. Secret place. When husband and wife come into secret place, they're having worship. The next verse. Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Christians, we need to make a choice. Either you stay. Listen, that time the children of God were slaves. Moses, who is a prince, decided to be called a slave, to identify with slaves. Say, if following God is suffering, I'd rather suffer rather than enjoy the pleasures of sin. You can't be ashamed of the gospel. Paul said, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. It is the power of God unto salvation. If you are ashamed of Christianity, God said, I will also be ashamed of you before my Father and his angels. You can't be pretending not to be a Christian. We are Christians in the banking hall. If you see yourself in the nightclub, you are a Christian. On top of a prostitute, you are still a Christian. If you like say, I'm not you are a Christian. Except you go and say, go and join nobody. Lift your hands to God of heaven. Say, Father, today I stand before you to say I am a believer. Again, I make my commitment that I refuse to be called son of Pharaoh's daughter. I refuse to stay with the pleasures of sin.
Living Your Dreams Initiative presents Unbroken, an emotional healing conference. 3 red bags plus 2 equals what? Date 11th to 13th February 2022. 6th day, which is Friday, 2 p.m. 7th day, which is Saturday, 9 a.m. And 1st day, which is Sunday, 9 a.m. Venue, Festus Iyayi Hall, opposite Hall 1, University of Benin, Benin City. Powered by Firm Foundation, Secure the Future Initiative, and ASSRT.
I hope you're avalanche ready. I am avalanche ready. Avalanche is a spiritual warfare that breaks the hand of the enemy over our lives as a people, over our nation, over the spheres of influence, and then releases the depths of God into our hearts. That's what avalanche is. Avalanche is for revival. Avalanche is for reformation. Avalanche is for transformation. That if there are areas and sectors in your life that is not breathing as it should, that the breath of God through the corporate worship will come upon it and break it open. If there are areas in your life that has decayed and has not been responding, singing for 48 hours non-stop is a serious spiritual warfare. Please, I want you to get ready for avalanche because of the great and mighty things that we have seen through the avalanche section.
Be strong. What does it mean to be strong when the heart aches and there is no hope in sight? When holding back tears no longer helps? When the road is rough and it weighs you down? How do we stay strong? Stay strong in community because there is a better life in leading others. Though our lives may not be perfect, and we can't promise you there will be days without the dark clouds, but we can promise to be there when it rains and when it hurts. We will be there with you when all seems bleak. We will guide you to wholeness. We are living your dreams.